Hello, fam.
Hello,
Stacy
everyone.
and Mia coming to you from Costa Rica, Rythmia. And so, I'd like to share on experiences of this past week and actually 2 weeks. Yeah,
Mhm.
2 weeks. So, Mia, where are you from?
I am from Melbourne in Australia, so a long way from home. So yeah, I booked a one-way ticket and fortunately had the space to be able to stay another week. So glad that I did because I got all my kind of revelations in my second week. But I was basically kind of called to come to Rythmia, so I'd always been interested in ayahuasca. But everything that I'd heard was really kind of scary and really intense. So I always knew that I wanted to do it, but just didn't know where to go to be safe and that kind of thing. And a friend of mine that comes to the gym that I work in, he came in. He hadn't been there for a couple of months and came in, and he was just radiating. And walked in with a massive smile on his face, and I was like, "Where have you been?" So he told me, yeah, about Rythmia, and just the way he explained his experience in this place was amazing. And he showed me, the page, the website, and then said, just have a look on TripAdvisor as well. So I started reading through all of these reviews, and every single review was just like, I can't explain how to put my experience into words, but this place is amazing, you have to go, blah, blah, blah. And so in my heart, I knew that, Rythmia was it. That's where I wanted to go. And after making that conscious decision, things just started kind of manifesting in my life, going from never knowing anyone that had taken ayahuasca to suddenly meeting, 10, 20 people that have done it and, started sharing their experiences. And I guess, I'll dive into a little bit about why I wanted to come here. So for the past 10 years, so I'm 27 years old, at age 14, I started drinking, started taking drugs, really hard drugs. I have battled with an eating disorder for the past 10 years. I can't be alone. So I've just had this fear of always being alone and never being able to sit with that feeling. It's always been filled with all of these external substances. And I've always felt very strongly that something happened to me when I was a child to kind of make me feel this way, but I've never known what it was. And I'd get so frustrated with myself. Being a personal trainer, I try and eat well and try and go to the gym. And so all of these other things were just polluting, what I wanted in my life. So I was just conflicting with myself and even, contemplated suicide on a couple of occasions because I was just so in a really dark place. So that's kind of the backstory as to why I wanted to come here. And then coming to Rythmia, I was very, very nervous when I first came here. I, didn't really want to interact with anyone. I was really closed off. And then it came time for the first ceremony. And that night, I got nothing. So my ego was a main contributor, and I kind of thought, and I couldn't help these thoughts as well, but I kind of thought, I've taken drugs that are harder than this. Like, this is nothing. I'm going to get nothing all week. This doesn't work. Like, I want my money back. And it was just a real, an ego thing, I guess, as well, coming from working in a gym. I did a bodybuilding competition last year, and I really realized that's just, you're comparing yourself with other people, and that's kind of how I surrounded, how I was living my life. And then, and so that was kind of my night number one. And then the next night it was terrible. So I was in a whole lot of pain. I felt really nauseous all night, but I couldn't purge. I was getting cramps everywhere, and it was almost like ayahuasca was telling me, I'm in control of you. You have to surrender to me. And she really did make me pay for Monday night and for my cockiness, I guess. And so my lesson for Tuesday night was all about jealousy. I found that I was getting jealous of other people's experiences, and I needed to sit with that feeling and to think, when have I been jealous in my life? And I realized that, I am a jealous person. I get jealous of other people that don't have addictions, or other people that, can live their life and not need to run and escape from things. And So that was the main realization that I learned on that Tuesday night. And then going into Wednesday night ceremony, just trying to think of what exactly, to trust myself. So Wednesday night, I went up to have my third cup. Again, I'm not really getting visuals at this point. Everything's just kind of coming to me, and I'm realizing the lessons that I'm needing to learn about, you know, my ego and about jealousy. And then, so the third night was to trust myself. I went up for my third cup, and straight away I just freaked out, and I went to the bathroom and I made myself throw up, and I was like, no, 3 cups, you know, I don't trust myself. And I went and sat outside for a while, for about an hour, and I was stone cold sober, and I realized, all right, I need to trust myself, and I just need to trust this process. I came here for a reason. I came here to dig deep and to find out, you know, what is happening to me, and to get answers and to move on with my life. So that was my lesson from Wednesday. And Thursday was forgiveness. And there was one point in the ceremony where the shaman got everyone up in different groups, and they were blessing each individual. And they got all the males up at one point, and my bed was right next to the kind of semicircle of people, and I had 5 males with their backs towards me. And they all kind of morphed. So one was my granddad, my dad, my brother, my uncle, and my cousin. And there's such a lineage of physical and mental abuse that's been passed down through that side of my family. And I feel really strongly that I fit in there somewhere in terms of what's happened to me and why I am the way I am. But I realized that I had to forgive all of those people in my life to understand, you know, why something would have happened to me that it wasn't their fault for doing what they were doing, because that's what's happened to them, and that's what, you know, they believed in. So as they were each getting blessed one by one, it was like I didn't have control of my head. I was forced to just watch each of them one by one, and I was crying. And so Thursday night was all about forgiveness. And then, so I realized that I wanted to stay another week. Earlier on last week, I kind of put it out there to the universe, just saying, I feel like this is going to take me a little bit longer than a week. I feel like I really want to heal myself and give myself time and not rush through 4 ceremonies thinking, you know, oh God, I've only got 3 left. I've only got 2 left. What if I don't get where I need to get to? And after I kind of talked to someone here about that, the next time I checked my phone, I had a message from my mum saying, I wanted to let you know that if you need to stay longer, I'm happy to pay for it for you. So putting that out to the universe and manifesting that, it was insane how the universe works. And then this week is where everything kind of came together, and I started to really get my miracle. So on Monday, I got shown things that had happened to me from my cousin from when I was younger, and I realized that's where, you know, that's where everything came from. And I also had another realization, and I had never thought of this ever, and never even imagined that this would come up. But there was an instance when I was in primary school. So my brother's 2 years older than me, and we went to the same primary school and then to different high schools. So I was still in primary school when he moved to a different high school, and my dad was working away in the mines at the time, and my mum was working a full-time job. And there was a brief period of time where she couldn't pick me up from school, so I was catching a taxi home. And it just came into my head clear as day that something's happened to me in a taxi. And I was so confused about it because I didn't get shown exactly what had happened, but I just knew so strongly that, you know, this has happened when I was about 7 years old. And I called my mum after the ceremony and I asked her, you know, do you know who was getting me? Was it a female? Was it a male? Like, do you know where I was going? How did you kind of control that situation? And she said to me, you know, that it was just anyone. It was just calling a taxi and getting someone to come and get me. So that was a lot to take in. And then the next day I was just really confused in our kind of group plant integration sessions, which are amazing. And if you do come here, I highly, highly recommend, you know, putting your hand up and talking about your experience. Yes. Because I was so lost. And I was like, but she did show me exactly what had happened. You know, where do I go with this information? Right. And Jerry said to me, you know, sometimes there are some people that need to be shown exactly what's happened and, you know, black and white. And then there's people that it triggers a memory, but it's pretty painful and you don't need to get shown exactly what's happened. It's more just an understanding of why then moving forward in your life you've been doing X, Y, and Z, and it kind of gives you closure in that sense. So that's Monday, and then on Tuesday it was all about purging toxic people out of my life. So one by one I kind of went through old best friends, ex-boyfriends, and it was this like this black toxic acid coming out of me. It was almost like sizzling as it was coming out of my throat, just thinking of the way people have treated me, and that I've allowed myself to be treated that way. And I realized, you know, the people you hang around is just a manifestation of yourself. So if you're in environments that are toxic and people aren't treating you in the right way, you know, you have to look deeper into yourself and think that I just thought I deserved to be treated like that because I wasn't happy in myself. So I allowed other people, you know, to treat me badly because they didn't realize I deserved better than that. And so then I went back to my first ex-boyfriend who like gave me my first meth pipe when I was 16, just not a nice person. And I fell pregnant with him and was never going to keep the child. And so unfortunately, you know, had an abortion, and for the past 11 years, I've never even thought to give that child the time and space that they deserve. You know, I never even thought that, like, that's a soul, that's life, that's they're a being. So after I purged out my ex-boyfriend and, you know, his family and got that kind of nasty feeling out, meanwhile, you know, all these people that I'm purging, I'm forgiving them as well. So it's like all this kind of bad stuff's coming up, but I'm also forgiving and saying thank you for having a part in my life. You know, you served me at that time, but it's time for you to go now. It's time for me to get that out so I can like move forward in my life. So purged about my ex-boyfriend, and then the most amazing thing happened to me, and I felt like I was pregnant. It was like I was finally having the time for that child, and I had the excitement of the waiting game of, you know, not knowing what the sex was going to be. And then Aya told me that I was going to have a girl, and I, you know, named her Sunny, and gave her, just sat with her for a while, and I cried. And when I next got up off my bed, it was like I was taking her for her first steps, and took her outside and, you know, showed her the stars and different constellations. And I've always, as I mentioned, had a fear of being alone, and she kind of said to me, "You're never alone anymore." And one of my intentions coming to Rythmia was that as a child I used to be really creative, so I used to paint and draw and make things, and I was always doing something with my hands. And then along the way I just lost that and became preoccupied with, you know, going out, abusing my body and everything. And I just got so excited because I was like, you know, I want to teach her to draw. I want to teach her to paint. And now I realize, you know, that was my soul coming back to me. And every day I wake up now and it's like an adventure. Like, you know, where are we going to go today? What can I show you? You know, I want to go and run and climb trees and just really get back to the essence of being a child, I suppose. So that was my soul coming back. And, you know, I realized that lesson that night. And then Wednesday was, my intention was to heal my heart. So that's the last kind of, you know, intention that they kind of teach us at Rythmia. And so it was a pretty terrifying night for me. So as I had mentioned, I thought about suicide a couple of times, and I was forced to kind of relive all of the times that I felt that, and basically sit there and feel like I was going to kill myself. And I was getting like really terrified and crying and just purging out that feeling of utmost terror that I'd ever even considered doing that to myself. And I was holding myself and apologizing over and over again that I would even think of that. You know, they've said to us that the chances of you being alive are about 40 trillion or 400 trillion to 1. You know, just the fact that you're here is mind-blowing, and to take that for granted and think that, you know, I could lose that all in an instant. So once I'd kind of gotten over that, then I was liberated. that's where, you know, the fun began. So we had live music playing and I was up dancing and singing and clapping, and, you know, finally everything had come together. I was like, holy hell, this is the best place ever. And then Thursday night, my last intention was just, I'm going traveling after this, so backpacking through Central and South America. And I just said to her, show me anything else that I need to know before I go on my journey. And she just said to me, you've got it. Like, I've showed you everything you need to know. Just have fun. And so, yeah, the last night was the most empowering night for me. And I guess every night I realised has just been a different lesson, and a lesson about myself. And then after you sit with those feelings and understand, you know, I am like this in my life. I'm scared, I'm jealous, you know, whatever it is, she makes you feel that way, and then she'll explain why, and then you can become whole again. And I guess a message, you know, kind of wrapping up, that life isn't, you're not meant to be unhappy. Like, I've lived for the past 12 years so unhappy to the point where I don't want to get out of bed some days, and I've just really felt stuck and not known a way out of the way I've been feeling. And coming here has completely changed my life. Like, I'm free. I need to tell everyone to come here. So if you're thinking about it, if you're curious, you know, jump on TripAdvisor, have a look at all the reviews. I'll be putting a review up there as well. But yeah, just reading all of these amazing experiences. And even just when I first got here, as I said, I didn't want to talk to anyone. I was really shy and reserved. There were things that I wanted to say, but in the group chats, I'd, you know, want to put my hand up, and then the moment would pass and the conversation would go elsewhere. And I'm like, oh, it's okay. Like, I don't have to share today. And then, yeah, now I'm like, can I speak? I need to share. So, yeah, really, I really have gotten my miracle. And it's insane that, you know, 27 years of therapy has manifested in these 2 weeks. And yeah, that's a bit about my experience.
Beautiful. Yeah, and I just want to say that the transformation from watching you from when you first got here until now has been amazing.
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah, and so many people keep saying to me, like, you're glowing, you know, you're radiating. And one girl, Eleanor, from last week, she looked at me and she was really staring into my eyes last Thursday, and she said to me, this is the first time that I've looked at you and I can see your soul in your eyes. So pretty powerful. I've done FaceTimes with my mum, and she's been crying, and she's like, you look like a completely different person. And then another crazy thing, which I'll also touch on. So if anyone's, you know, got a medical condition, pardon me, things, ailments, even, you know, just sore, like anything, you know, that you've kind of been living with, if you've got pains anywhere, this, like, medicine is amazing. It truly is an essence from nature that, like, it's cured cancer before. So it's pretty powerful stuff. And from my own experience, I've had scoliosis for as long as I can remember. So I've been to chiropractors, osteos, physios, spent thousands of dollars, and I feel like, say with the chiropractor, they just kind of crack you into place, and then as soon as you walk out, you kind of go back to where you were. So I've got a kink in my neck, in between my shoulder blades and in my lower back, and I've just lived with pain for as long as I can remember. And I've never done yoga either. And then being here and doing yoga, I think that helped a lot. But in my in basically every ceremony, I had sacred surgery, which is where, you know, where a being will come to you and will operate on your body. It is bizarre. You'll be flipped in all different positions that they want to put you in. I would hear, you know, drilling, so like mechanical drilling, and I had a half praying mantis, half mechanical being doing surgery on my spine in basically every ceremony. And, you know, when I purged something really hurtful and toxic, he'd almost like lay me on my stomach and start massaging my back. And he's like, you know, let's just have a breather. And he was a great support. But I could literally feel, you know, my spine becoming straight again. And for the first time, I'm not in pain anymore, and I can like move my body without feeling stiff and rigid. And yeah, it's insane. It's insane. It's amazing.
It's amazing. Those are Jerry's friends too, the little praying mantis thing.
Yeah.
He's like, I know those guys.
Yeah, he's got a sense. Like Aya has a sense of humor as well. So amongst the purging and the hurting, there is you have to kind of get through that for the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
And she's really sarcastic. People is sharing their experiences, and people will just be laughing in ceremony because the weirdest thing comes up. So as I was getting surgery by this half praying mantis, half mechanical being, a really funky little kind of jam came on. And he whispered to me, and he was like, look, we've been doing surgery for a while now. I really like this song. Let's get up and dance. And we started doing the cha-cha together. So 1, 2, cha-cha-cha. For a good 3-4 minutes. And then the song finished, and he's like, all right, back to work. The guy's got some moves. It's hilarious. And I tried to explain that to my mom on the phone. I called her after ceremony. And I'm like, you won't believe what's happened. So this mechanical praying mantis guy, I did the cha-cha with him tonight. She's like, yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, but you won't understand until you come and experience it for yourself. It really is the change I've seen in people in the 2 weeks that I've been here. I've made friends that will be my family. I got matching tattoos with people, bonded for life.
Yeah. And I really like how you mentioned being an active participant in your stay, really speaking up and sharing with where you're at. And we can't dig it out for you. You have to really put yourself out there and be raw, be vulnerable, and say what's going on. And ask for guidance, ask for answers.
Yeah,
sure.
in my personal life at home, I've never told anyone about my addictions or eating disorders or suicidal thoughts and that kind of thing. I felt too reserved and too embarrassed about it. Thought that there's something wrong with me. Whereas now I've realised, and coming here, I realised that it's all conditioning from when you're a child and from when something happens. It's not like I chose to do those things. They're humiliating for me. So I didn't actively choose to adopt any of those addictions. But at the end of the day, they are all just addictions and they stem from somewhere. And so being here, I felt so safe and open to share my story. And as I say things to people, they're like, thank you so much for sharing that. And then they'll, share their experience. And the more you kind of talk about it with people, the more you realize, we're all the same at the end of the day. We're all humans. We've all gone through things in our life, and it affects people differently. People gamble or whatever. But it's a really safe environment that you feel like you can open up and you won't be judged. And after you share something, everyone's hugging you and clapping, and it's a really safe, beautiful space.
Yeah, we're only as sick as our secrets.
Exactly.
The more we keep that stuff inside, the more poison just stays in our bodies. And being able to share gives someone else the space to share where they're at. Make them not feel so alone. Because you're right, because we're all connected.
Yeah,
we all have such similar stories if we just open up to one another.
Yeah, you'd be surprised people's backstory and the things that you don't know about people.
Yeah.
And it's so important to encourage people to speak out, because I know from my experience for living with contemplating suicide, there's so many people out there that feel like that and feel like they just can't voice what they're going through. So if that is you, or if that's someone that encourage them to speak out, tell them about Rythmia, and tell them that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There are things that they can do to pull themselves out of that space, I guess.
Yeah, no matter where anyone's at, just please reach out, ask for help. There's always answers. There's always guidance. There is another way.
Absolutely.
Definitely is the plant medicine for me.
Yeah, it's the best.
Every time.
It's the best.
So again, thank you all for your comments. Thank you all for watching, and
thank you guys
so much.
But you can understand my accent.
I love it. That's like Victor. It's like I listen to her talk. I just love to listen. So thank you guys so much. Love and blessings to you all.
We hope to see you soon.
Aho.